Hello everyone, I'm Mini Assassin, and Pokemon Emerald with only status moves was really fun. Now we can get to the game that inspired it all. Small Ant did this run a while back, but he cheated. Items are not status moves and shouldn't be allowed in battle. This is a joke. Don't let some loser on the internet tell you how to play a game made for children. Anyway, let's explain the rules. I can't use any moves that deal direct damage to enemy Pokemon. No items in battle, except for Pokeballs and held items. I'll be playing on set mode. I can only use one Pokemon per evolution line. I will not be able to overlevel past the next gym leader's highest leveled Pokemon. And, because this is a remake and I've already done this challenge in a Kanto game, link is in the description by the way, go check it out if you haven't seen it, I will only catch new Pokemon if I can't progress. We start out by picking Bulbasaur as our starter, who I name Hathy. Our rival King challenges us, and Professor Oak unsuccessfully teaches us how to battle. Once we get to Viridian Forest, we can catch our first new team member, since Hathy can't solo any Pokemon. I catch a Caterpie named Rudin. With our second Pokemon, we can now just barely get level 4 Kakunas to knock themselves out so that Hathy gets to level 7 and learns Leech Seed. With our new Power Spike, we can steamroll through Viridian Forest, allowing Rudin to evolve into a Metapod and learn Harden, then evolve again into a Butterfree. We don't even reach the level cap before taking on Brock. Hathy seeds his Geodude, then I switch to Rudin and start to harden. Because of the defense boost, Geodude can't do any meaningful damage to Rudin since Leech Seed heals him up every time he takes damage. On the other hand, Onix immediately takes Rudin down with 2 Rock Tombs. Hathy doesn't take nearly as much damage, especially once the growls start to kick in. The Generation 3 AI is really weird and won't go for speed control moves like Rock Tomb or Mudshot if they're faster, even if it'll do the most damage. Because Onix refuses to use his strongest move, Leech Seed heals for more damage than he can deal, and we win the Boulder Badge. On our way to Cerulean City, Hathy and Rudin both learn Poison Powder and Sleep Powder. Hathy evolves into Ivysaur, and Rudin replaces String Shot with Supersonic. After getting through Mount Moon with no trouble, King challenges us in Cerulean, leading Pidgeotto. I put him to sleep with a 97% accurate Sleep Powder thanks to Rudin's Compound Eyes ability, then switch to Hathy and connect with Leech Seed. After switching to Rudin and using Harden, Pidgeotto wakes up and lands a Soft Gust before fainting. Charmander immediately gets put to sleep, then Hathy comes in to land a Leech Seed. Charmander does wake up a few times to land Hard Embers, burning Hathy in the process, but he eventually goes down. Abra has the Synchronize ability, which will poison Rudin if I use Poison Powder. I switch to Hathy and use Leech Seed, then switch back to Rudin to heal back to full health by the time Abra falls. His Rattata has Guts, which boosts attack when poisoned, but Hathy can't survive the switch, so I poison him with Rudin. He can't really do much damage, even with the attack boost, since Rudin's defense is maxed from Harden, so we win the fight. After getting to Bills and nearly overleveling, we can take on Misty. Her Staryu lands a critical Water Pulse to confuse Hathy and deal a small chunk of damage, but otherwise, it goes down easily enough. Hathy manages to put Starmie to sleep after landing a Leech Seed, but it wakes up and confuses Hathy with a Water Pulse. Because of the free healing while Starmie slept, though, Hathy barely survives as Starmie goes down and we win the Cascade Badge. After arriving in Vermilion, we board the SS Anne, where we can find the HM for Cut. Before that, though, King challenges us. Pidgeotto gets put to sleep and ends up only dealing minor damage to Rudin thanks to Growl and Leech Seed healing. King sends out his big threat Charmeleon next, who can decimate my team with Ember. Rudin puts him to sleep through an accuracy drop, then manages to hit a Supersonic as Charmeleon wakes up and hits himself. Rudin puts him back to sleep, then we switch to Hathy to land a Leech Seed. Eventually, Charmeleon wakes up and snaps out of confusion to land a Hard Ember on Rudin before going down. Raticate follows suit, getting put to sleep, seated, and going down without doing much. Kadabra comes out and I immediately poison him, forgetting about his Synchronize ability, so Rudin gets poisoned as well. Kadabra gets confused but takes out Rudin before hitting himself. Confusion can't take out Hathy in time, so we win a close battle with King. After completing the trash puzzle, we can take on Lieutenant Surge. His Voltorb gets put to sleep and seated after hitting a Screech, then Rudin comes out to try Supersonic, but Voltorb's Soundproof ability blocks it. I switch back to Hathy and land a Poison Powder when Voltorb wakes up and hits a soft Shockwave. A few turns later, after Lieutenant Surge's Super Potion, Voltorb goes down but nearly takes Hathy out in the process. We can outspeed the Pikachu and put him to sleep, then seat him as Lieutenant Surge uses a full heal. Another Sleep Powder misses as Pikachu lands a Thunder Wave, then sets up a double team, so Hathy misses again. His quick attacks don't do very much, as Hathy finally manages to land a Sleep Powder, and Pikachu goes down in his sleep. Leech Seed and Poison Powder both manage to connect with Raichu despite his double teams, and his Shockwaves don't do very much, even when they crit, so Raichu goes down and we win the Thunder Badge. After getting through Rock Tunnel, I try the fight with Erica. Even with good Supersonic luck, Acid just hits way too hard, and Erica has a Hyper Potion if we do manage to get lucky. we're going to need another team member. I decide I'm going to catch a Ghastly from Pokemon Tower in Lavender Town, but before we can do that, we need to take down Team Rocket in the Celadon Game Corner. Getting to Giovanni isn't all that difficult, and his Pokemon are a similar story. Onix goes down quick, as does Rhyhorn. Kangaskhan takes out Hathi with a Mega Punch, but Rudin is able to survive long enough that we win the battle and can pick up the Silph Scope. With the Silph Scope, we can identify encounters from the Pokemon Tower, but before we can catch anything, we have to battle King. His Pidgeotto does exactly nothing before falling to Leech Seed, but his Execute can really mess Hathi up. I switch to Rudin to confuse and poison him, then wait until he goes down. His big scary Charmeleon comes out, only to be met with a Sleep Powder and Supersonic, then gets seeded. Thanks to good confusion luck, he only hits one Ember before fainting. I let Gyarados take out Rudin, otherwise he'll overlevel and be ineligible for the next gym. Hathi finishes the job without taking any damage. Kadabra is faster, but he uses Kinesis so much that he can't take out Hathi, so we win the fight. Now we can finally catch that Ghastly, who I named Virovirokin. I level her up to level 21 when she learns Confuse Ray, then try the Grass Gym. Leading Hathi, I put the Victory Bell to sleep, then switch to Virovirokin to use Curse and Confuse Ray. Even with Erica's Hyper Potion, all Victory Bell does is paralyze Hathi before going down. Tangela can be poisoned, but because of the paralysis, it takes a few turns before we can connect. It takes a while since Tangela used Ingrain, which heals her after every turn, but poison does more damage than it can heal, so she eventually faints. Vileplume is similar to Victory Bell. Sleep Powder, Curse, and Confuse Ray make short work of her, even if she manages to KO Virovirokin and Hathi. Erica doesn't heal either, so we win the Rainbow Badge. With the new level cap of 43, both Hathi and Virovirokin can evolve. Then we can head to Fuchsia City to take on Koga. His lead coughing doesn't do much of anything before exploding, which I predict and switch to Virovirokin, who takes no damage. Muck gets put to sleep, cursed, and confused, so he goes down quickly before Koga can heal. Coughing number 2 also explodes as I switch to Virovirokin, so Wheezing comes out. He nearly takes her out, but eventually goes down to a Curse Leech Seed combo, winning us the Soul Badge. The only thing required before Sabrina is to clear out Silphco, and, surprise surprise, King is there too. Once again, his lead, now a Pidgeot, does nothing before going down. Execute does a large amount of damage to Rudin before going down, and Charizard comes out to finish the job. He hits a hard Flamethrower as Hathi puts him to sleep, then seeds him. Charizard stays asleep as Virovirokin comes in to confuse him, so he hits himself 3 times in a row to take himself out. Alakazam seems scary, but his only attack is Future Sight, which can't do more than a Leech Seed can heal, so he goes down rather quickly. Gyarados gets cursed before taking out Virovirokin, then goes down a few turns later, so we win the battle and can challenge Giovanni. Much like King's Pidgeot, Giovanni's Nidorino doesn't do anything before fainting, and Rhyhorn goes down from curse damage before he can get an attack off. Kangaskhan uses Fake Out for a bit of damage, then gets off a free Tail Whip as her early bird ability wakes her up. Hathi takes a Mega Punch like a champ as he uses Leech Seed, then barely survives the follow-up as he uses Poison Powder. A switch to Virovirokin means Kangaskhan's Mega Punch won't do anything, but she just goes for Tail Whip twice before falling. Nidoqueen is last, but she can't do anything to Virovirokin, who can curse and coast off Leech Seed healing until we kick Team Rocket out of Saffron. With the entrance to the gym no longer blocked off, we can take on Sabrina. Thanks to good confusion luck, all Kadabra does is set up a Future Sight before going down. Venomoth crits a Psybeam on Hathi, which in addition to the Future Sight, nearly takes him out. A little Sleep Powder spam lets Hathi heal back to nearly full health by the time Venomoth falls. Mrs. Mime crits Rudin for a solid chunk of damage, then Baton passes both Curse and Leech Seed to Alakazam, who takes out Rudin, then gets put to sleep and goes down. Mrs. Mime takes out Virovirokin after getting cursed, then faints and we win the Marsh Badge. Our next gym challenge is on Cinnabar Island, which, being an island, requires Surf to get to. I catch a Magikarp in Celadon City, since this pond has the highest leveled ones at this point in the game. I name ours Swatchling, then evolve him into a Gyarados so we can surf. I go back to Palatown and surf south, so we can avoid Seafoam Islands altogether. The gym leader, Blaine, uses Fire-type Pokemon, so I teach Swatchling Rest, then take him on. Growlithe deals minor damage to Swatchling and Rudin before falling, and Ponyta comes out. He manages to deal significant damage to Hathi, as well as inflict a burn. Swatchling walls him until he falls, and his big brother Rapidash arrives. Because Swatchling knows Rest, we can safely stall Rapidash out of Fire Blast power points, and switch to Hathi to hit a Leech Seed as he goes down from a bounce. Swatchling and Rudin stall Rapidash until Leech Seed takes him out. Rudin switches in as Arcanine misses a takedown, then gets put to sleep. Varavarakin comes into Curse before finishing the job with Destiny Bond, winning us the Volcano Badge. Upon Blaine's defeat, the Viridian Gym opens up to us, and we can take on Giovanni for the final time. Without his Kangaskhan, he's even easier than before. The only thing his Rhyhorns do is spam Scary Face in an attempt to outspeed, so neither of them do any damage. Although, I did discover that Destiny Bond doesn't work if the attacker uses a multi-hit move, like Rock Blast. Back to the winning attempt, Dugtrio can't hit Varavarakin, so Curse takes him out without any trouble. Nidoqueen and Nidoking can only hit Varavarakin with Poison Sting, so they both fall to Curse, and Giovanni gives us the Earth Badge. With all 8 badges, we can head to the Pokemon League, but on our way, King stops us to challenge us to yet another battle. This time, his Pidgeot has a breakthrough and does semi-meaningful damage to Rudin before fainting, and sending out Rhyhorn, who nearly takes out Swatchling with a 3-hit Rock Blast that crit twice. Rest heals him up nicely though, and Rhyhorn goes down. Execute's only attack is Solar Beam, so Rudin can poison him, then wall him until he faints. Alakazam knows Psychic now, so I plan on sacrificing Rudin to curse him, but he goes for Future Sight on the second attack. This lets us land a Sleep Powder, then curse with Varavarakin, who gets rocked by the Future Sight. I send in Swatchling since he has the most special defense, but Alakazam misses 2 disables before landing a Psychic and falling to curse. King sends out his own Gyarados, but his Hydro Pumps deal next to nothing to Hathi and Swatchling, especially after Leech Seed healing. He goes down without any trouble as we sacrifice Rudin to get a safe switch to Varavarakin so he can use Destiny Bond, which takes out Charizard and wins us the battle. After making our way through Victory Road and spending all of our money on healing items, we go back to Fuchsia City to delete Surf and Strength from Swatchling and Hathi, then white out from the nearby trainers to get teleported back to the League. After getting everyone to the level cap of 60, which matches Lance's Dragonite, we can take on the League. I replaced Swatchling's Surf and Rain Dance with Sandstorm and Hail. Hathi learned Synthesis at level 53, and Varavarakin replaced Destiny Bond with Nightmare at level 53 as well. Lorelei, the first member of the Elite Four, is incredibly difficult. All of her Ice-type moves have a chance to freeze, and none of the Pokemon on my team are resistant to it. She also loves to set up the Hail, which does chip damage to any Pokemon that isn't Ice-type. Her Dugong goes just about as well as possible, only dealing minor damage to Hathi and Swatchling before going down. Cloyster can be annoying with Spikes and Hail setup, but can only deal damage with Dive, so she's walled by both Hathi and Swatchling. Slowbro isn't too difficult and only gets off a single Ice Beam before falling. Jinx hits hard, can cause sleep with Lovely Kiss, and has Attract, which causes anyone it's used on to fail their moves half the time, and it works on everyone except Varavarakin. Since no one on my team wants to switch into an Ice Punch, I let Swatchling go down so I can send in Rudin to use Sleep Powder. After hitting a Supersonic and another Sleep Powder, I switched to Varavarakin and used Curse, then switched to Hathi. Jinx puts Hathi to sleep, then she uses Attract instead of attacking for some reason? Well, because Lorelei decided to throw the battle, Hathi can survive an Ice Beam from Lapras, then land a Sleep Powder and Leech Seed through confusion. I swap in Rudin to put Lapras to sleep, so Leech Seed finishes her off, winning us the battle. Bruno is really easy, especially after the slog that was Lorelei. His Onix barely scratches Hathi before going down, and his Hitmonchan does less damage than the Leech Seed can heal, so Hathi manages to regain all of his health. Hitmonlee packs a punch with a critical Mega Kick before being put to sleep. However, he can only hit Ghost by using Foresight, so by switching between Hathi and Varavarakin, we can wait until he falls without taking any more damage. Much like his first one, Bruno's second Onix goes down without doing much, and Machamp comes out. He gets cursed and goes down a few turns later, winning us the battle against Bruno. Right off the bat, Agatha's Gengar goes for a double team, but Hathi manages to outspeed and land a Leech Seed. Thanks to Swatchling's Intimidate lowering Gengar's attack, her Shadow Punches don't do much, even against Varavarakin, who puts Gengar to sleep after Agatha heals, then uses Nightmare, which does the same damage as Curse but has no recoil and only works if the target is asleep. Anyway, it's not long before Gengar goes down and Agatha sends out Golbat. Once again, Intimidate allows us to essentially neuter Golbat's ability to deal damage, and he goes down quickly. Haunter can only attack with Dream Eater, but she uses Curse, which cuts her health in half, allowing Leech Seed to finish her off more easily. Gengar number 2 is nearly identical to the first, albeit with a minor moveset change. This doesn't help her become a threat though, so she goes down without much trouble. Arbok, like others before her, gets cursed. All she managed to do was poison Swatchling before going down, winning us the battle against Agatha. You'd think Lance's dragons would be scary, but that isn't the case, since dragon-type moves are special in this generation, and all of Lance's Pokemon have higher attack than they do special attack. Gyarados can only deal real damage with Dragon Rage, but 40 damage isn't nearly enough to be scary anymore, and we can easily keep him asleep for the majority of the battle anyway. Aerodactyl is easily Lance's scariest Pokemon, but Sleep Powder plus Intimidate really hamper his ability to deal significant damage, so he isn't much trouble either. Dragonite is largely the same, although he does nearly take Hathi out with an Outrage. Lance's 2 Dragonaires are nearly identical, and they have the Shed Skin ability, so getting Poison or Sleep to stick is nigh impossible. Instead, I employ good old-fashioned curse strats to take them down. Last is the champion, and spoiler alert for a nearly 20-year-old game, it's our rival, King. In Pidgeot fashion, his lead bird does nearly nothing before going down. Rhydon hits hard, especially with Earthquake, but that only works on Hathi, so it isn't all that bad. I use Rudin to bait out Charizard so we can deal with him quickly. He wastes all of his Fire Blast power points on Swatchling, so Virovirokin can come in and finish the job with a Hypnosis Nightmare combo. Alakazam gets outsped and cursed, then refuses to attack, only using Future Sight, which does take down Virovirokin, but Alakazam falls as well. Executor can only really damage Rudin with Egg Bomb, so I put him to sleep before using Harden until he wakes up, then poison him. Thanks to the defense boosts, along with Supersonic, Rudin is able to barely outlast the Walking Tree before falling to Gyarados. Intimidate allows us to easily tank hits from him before he goes down and work around the champion, winning us the run. Well, that was fun. If you liked the video, be sure to leave a like and maybe comment while you're at it. My next run will be Pokemon Platinum, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it.